Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Happy Saturday, May 7th, I think. Good to see you. I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I like to talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic protocol. Excuse me, how you may be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life like I did. So I'm going to jump on in. First of all, if someone can let me know you can see and hear me, because last week we had technical issues. Screen's not frozen. We're good. Okay. I hope everything's okay. I'm going to keep talking. Okay. And we have people chatting in. Hello. Hello. Um, I will tell you what, if you're first time here, I'm going to spend the first few minutes talking about the topic at hand, which is myths and facts about the ketogenic protocol. And then I'll turn my attention to the comments of the lovely people who bother to show up and type. And then we can share some success stories or challenges, whether they're scale victories or non-scale victories. Okay, let's jump in. I'm going to tell you, repeat again, how I have learned and have practiced the ketogenic protocol lo these many years. And really nothing's changed at all since I started. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. Total carbs, not net carbs. Net carbs just means more carbs. If it's not on page 4, link below, don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. Now, as far as the food list, you don't even need a list of food. It's fatty sources of protein, limited amounts of non-starchy vegetables, and limited amounts of full-fat dairy. Mostly, don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated and keep those carbs low. That's the protocol. Now, how could something so straightforward morph into something so complicated where there are thousands of YouTube channels and gurus and Facebook pages and Facebook groups and Instagram accounts showing loads and loads of fake baked goods and then products that are on the shelves? Oh, first myth, if it says keto on the label, it's low carb. No, that's just marketing and it's not regulated. So no, it's not actually the first myth. It's just the first one that popped into my mind. If a product has the word keto on it and it's shelf stable, it's really not low carb. They will tout their so-called total carbs on the front of the box or package. And then on the back, they'll have to show, oh yeah, that's actually 14 total grams of carbohydrate per serving. And a serving is 1 ounce of something. So the fact is that if something is shelf stable, it almost certainly is not low carb because the stabilizers are starches. That's what makes them shelf stable. That's why you can have a Twinkie on the shelf for 35 years, and it's the same as the day it was made. Stick to whole foods: beef, pork, lamb, poultry with the skin, eggs with the yolks, seafood, fish, some non-starchy vegetables in limited amounts, and some full-fat dairy if you want it in limited amounts. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Myth: you must monitor your grams of protein and fat. Let me preface all this by saying, whatever works for somebody, they should keep doing it. There are many paths that can lead to the same destination. But frankly, some of us get confused because of all the conflicting information out there. And some of the information is confusing on purpose because then there's a product to sell you to make it simple. It is simple. Doesn't mean it's easy because we have to overcome decades and sometimes generations of habitual eating and having been told incorrect nutritional information and excuses we make for ourselves, frankly. But so if something works for you, fine. For many people who are listening to my voice, things haven't worked. I mean, frankly, if you're really happy with yourself and you've never had a weight issue or a health concern, you're probably yet doing something better on a Saturday morning in May than listening to me. So many people who hear my voice have, the same struggles I did. For those of you who don't know, I was morbidly obese for 30 years. You can go to my blog, link below, and see my during pictures. It wasn't even before, and it wasn't during my weight loss so much of keto. I just didn't have many photos made of myself, but not even at my heaviest. Morbidly obese for 30 years. I didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes. I made a change January 8th, 2014. So I've now been following this for over 8 years. I've been weight stable for over 5 years. Next myth. It's not sustainable. Keto's not sustainable. Fact, it is sustainable. I've sustained it. Now, someone might tell you it's not sustainable because they would not stick to it. It's not that it's not sustainable. Some people, including some physicians who say it's not sustainable, can't imagine foregoing the carbs themselves. So for them, we cannot disagree. I was talking with someone in a one-on-one, and she shared with me a comment their doctor made. This person had lost weight and good amount of weight and was feeling much better. And the doctor said, well, the thing about keto is it works until it stops working. Well, it doesn't stop working. We stop doing it. That's like saying, well, the thing about giving up cigarettes is it works until you start smoking again. Okay. It's sustainable. 8+ years for me, going on 8 years for my husband, who, FYI, never really had a weight problem or health issues. He wants to prevent health issues. Many people have been doing it for a really long time. Jackie Everstein, who was Dr. Atkins' keeper and nurse, has been doing it since the early 70s. It's sustainable. Myth. You must pack in the fat. Some people are not only uncomfortable with the idea of eating a lot of fat, they're grossed out by it. And you don't have to add fat. Eat the fat that comes with the protein. Eat the ribeye with the fat. Eat the ground chuck that comes with the fat. Eat the poultry with the skin, the eggs with the yolks, the pork chop with the fat. But there is a myth that you must pound back, a couple of 100 grams of fat a day in order to burn fat. The myth is that you must consume fat to burn fat. That is a myth, and it's incorrect. It's factually incorrect. The fact is, it's not the presence of the fat that works, that gets us burning fat. It's the absence of the carbs. And 200 grams of fat, there's 9 calories of energy in every gram of fat. That's 1,800 calories just in fat. I don't eat 1,800 calories in a day, and I haven't for a long time. If I consumed 1,800 calories, I would put on weight. Myth. If you're in ketosis, you'll lose weight. Fact. You can put on weight being in ketosis. Ketosis doesn't mean weight loss. Ketosis means burning fat for fuel. If being in ketosis equaled weight loss, I would be see-through. I have not been out of ketosis since I started. First couple of days in. Hold on, please. Let me adjust something here. So, yeah, if we overconsume food, even if it's zero carb, I always use the example of the scene from The Great Outdoors with the late, great John Candy. And they go to family cabin place, and there's a local steakhouse where the old 96er, if you can eat it in an hour, you get it for free. The old 96er is 96 ounces of ribeye. That's 6 pounds of ribeye, zero carbs. If you eat that, you're probably not going to lose weight, eating 6 pounds of food. Myth. You must restrict your eating to certain times. If it works for you, great. Fact, for me anyway, if I arbitrarily denied myself food when I was legit hungry, I would just go back to that place where I would be thinking about food all the time. No, I don't believe in arbitrarily not eating if you're legitimately hungry any more than I believe in arbitrarily eating just because it's breakfast time and you always eat breakfast, or it's 5 p.m. and that's when dinner is. Myth: the ketogenic diet is dangerous because you will get ketoacidosis. You will develop ketoacidosis, which is a serious situation. But if you're not a type 1 diabetic, and as long as you're not taking some of these newfangled, stupid pharmaceuticals for type 2 diabetes that are supposed to drive down your glucose, you're not at risk of ketoacidosis. Ketosis, burning fat for fuel, and ketoacidosis, which would be an extremely high level by a factor of 10 times more of the presence of beta hydroxybutyrate or acetoacetate or acetone in the as byproducts of burning fat for fuel. Type 1 diabetics need to regulate that and be careful. Type 2 diabetics, no, it's just wrong information. If you're not a type 1 diabetic, you don't even need the pharmaceuticals, just lay off the carbs. That's what drives down glucose. This is not neither a fact. Well, this is not a myth/fact. If you are taking insulin to regulate your blood sugar, you must do this under supervision, because when you lay off the carbs, the insulin can essentially become too strong, because laying off the carbs will lower your blood sugar. If you are then on top of it taking insulin, which lowers your blood sugar, you are at risk of hypoglycemia, which is a very not good state to be in. So if you're taking insulin, check with your doctor before you start laying off the carbs. PSA. Let me see. I will be asking some people about myths you maybe have heard, or things you wonder if it's a myth, or things you thought were true and then you found it, oh man, that was just a line. Oh, myth. The ketogenic diet helps you can develop non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That is not only a myth, it's opposite fact. A ketogenic protocol is the treatment for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Some persons, the interwebs, tout this line because then they want to sell some pills to help treat non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Myth: you must eat a minimum of X number of cups of leafy greens a day. Fact: you really want to cap it at 2 cups a day, maximum, before cooked. So not 2 cups of cooked spinach, 2 cups of raw spinach, or 2 cups of romaine, maximum a day. And 1 cup of non-starchy vegetables before they're cooked a day. So keep in mind, if you think, okay, I want to have a cauliflower pizza crust, but it's okay because it's cauliflower crust. If we're limited to 1 cup of non-starchy vegetables before they're cooked a day, that's about this much. How much pizza crust are you going to get out of this much cauliflower? Not much. Myth: you must consume X number of ounces of water every day. If you want to, do. Fact: drink when you're thirsty. People can be successful at this and live in the desert where they do not have X number of ounces of water to consume every day. Myth: keto will fix everything. Fact: keto will not fix everything. People can still have some health issues, even though they are doing everything they can for themselves. They are burning fat for fuel. They are, some of us just are unlucky. And it certainly won't cure everything that is non-health related. If you have an unfortunate relationship with your partner, it may not get better. As a matter of fact, it might get worse. As we start feeling better about ourselves and looking better, we may put up with less crap from those around us because we felt like we deserved to get crap from people before. I'm not speaking for we're solid. My lovely mate and I. If you don't like your job, you may not like it anymore, even when you start burning fat for fuel. Myth: being in ketosis prevents cancer. Oh, that is too big one to joke around with. There is very old science. It's called the Warburg effect from Dr. Otto Warburg, who won the Nobel Prize in 1931 by identifying that certain cancer cells flourish with glucose, and that choking them off of glucose as much as possible can help minimize the growth of the cancer cells. The thing is, we can't absolutely choke any cell off of glucose because our body makes it as needed. It's need-based. Our bodies will create the amount of glucose required through gluconeogenesis, through the liver and the kidney, and a whole bunch of really remarkable physiological functions. But it doesn't prevent cancer. We can do ourselves a favor by nobody needs to be burning sugar for fuel. Let's put it that way. Consuming sugar for fuel leads to inflammation, autoimmune disorders, arthritis, acid reflux, eczema, migraine. And yes, some cancers may be enhanced by inflammation. Nobody needs the sugar. Myth. But you still have to eat fruits and vegetables because they're good for you. Fact. Fruits and vegetables are mostly carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is a non-essential macronutrient, meaning we don't have to consume it in order to provide our body with things that it needs, like glucose, because our bodies can make glucose. Fat and protein are essential macronutrients. The amino acids present in fat and protein, our bodies can't make. We must get them from the outside. I'm sure there are some others. Please be careful of your sources of information. Please. Some people are there to sell you something. No, okay. Commercial break, shameless commerce division, tip of the hat to the car talk guys. You don't have to buy one thing to be 100% successful at the ketogenic protocol, but I will sell you a mug that reads, "Lay off the carbs, lay off the excuses," and has my picture on the back, or a steel water bottle, same thing, or a pop socket for the back of your phone that says, "Food is not the boss of me," or a spiral book, a record book with hopefully witty and inspiring sayings and habit trackers and mood trackers. You don't need to buy anything, though. There is no pill, kit, meal plan, supplement that can help exogenous ketones. Not for nutritional ketosis. There are studies ongoing about therapeutic levels of ketosis, taking exogenous, meaning taking them from outside of the body. I want my ketones coming from inside my body, burning fat for fuel. And these exogenous ketone companies, they're multi-level marketing. And by the way, if somebody is trying to sell you an exogenous ketone and they have the same name as I, that isn't me. Be careful of your sources of information, please. Even so-called medical providers, or maybe they are medical providers, but they've gone to the dark side. Be careful. I know that there are some patrons here. Again, I want to give a thank you to patrons. I have a private support group on patreon.com, link below, where depending on your pledge level, I do 20 video snippets pre-recorded every month. Every weekday I do them. The topics are usually suggested by patrons. I think I've done number 1130 of the morning snippets. Going up from there, a handful of patron-only live streams on Crowdcast. Going up from there, a handful of patron-only video group sessions on Zoom, and going up from there, monthly one-on-one with me. Plus, I send out cards. I've just sent out a bunch that I design, and the card actually says, "Lay off the carbs, lay off the excuses," and I write a little note on the back. So thank you to patrons. I will continue to do public content for as long as people want it. If you go to my blog, you can see my schedule, which will show you all the public stuff I do. The Durham Support Group meeting, which was in person this last week, And as you can see the replay on YouTube, Go Keto with Casey meetup on this second Monday of the month here in Greensboro at Wine Styles. That's coming up on Monday. And different things. Okay, thank you. Enough of that. Now, I'm going to turn my attention to you guys. Let's see who's got what to say. And of course, I forgot my mouse. I always forget something. Let's see. Oh, Cat Cookie writes, "Hi, Casey. I'm down 15 pounds and I'm no longer pre-diabetic. My doctor asked, did I put you on blood pressure medication? Because your numbers look great. By the way, I just had my annual on Monday, I think. It was Monday. My blood pressure was 111 over 77. My for those of you who don't know, what you really want to be looking at in your cholesterol panel is the ratio between HDL, high density lipoprotein, the so-called good cholesterol, and triglyceride, which is inflammatory. HDL, anti-inflammatory, triglyceride, inflammatory. We want some triglyceride. We want a little inflammation if our body needs little fires to be put out, little infections and things. Ideally, you want it to be 1-to-1. So if your triglyceride is 90 or 80, you want your HDL to be 80. If not that, you want your HDL to be a little bit higher than the triglyceride. Okay, listen to this. My triglyceride was 60 and my HDL was 117. And I had almost none of the little tiny sticky LDLs. There are two types of LDL. There's big, fluffy, benign, and there's little tiny sticky. The little tiny stickies, you want fewer than 527 nanomolars per liter. Fewer than 527 or lower. I had fewer than 90. There you go. So that is fantastic. Cat Cookie. Oh, Karen Trout. Hi, you're in South Africa, right? You're a big help. Well, thank you. I'm so glad. Mona Too Fun. That is hello in Turkey. Little Crafty Nook. Yes. And the LDL ratio, puffy versus sticky. Yeah. You just really want to know. It's not even a ratio. You just don't want very many of the little stickies. Gail, because the big fluffies are benign. Gail Ray, thanks to the keto diet, I've lost 45 since January. Off stomach med and 1 blood pressure med. I praise Jesus for finding you here. Well, that's most kind of you. Sherry Brink, Jeanette Maluli, I have a thyroid condition, take thyroid meds. I've been on the protocol for 1 year and have lost 135 pounds, have never affected or have had trouble with my thyroid. These are other myths. And it's not myth so much as I think people are cautious, well, I can't do it because I don't have a gallbladder. Yes, you can. I can't do it because I'm hypothyroid, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Yes, you can. I can't do it because I only have 1 kidney. Yes, you can. I can't do it because I'm postmenopausal. It won't work for me. I was postmenopausal. But I had but I've had a hysterectomy and that makes you fat. I had a hysterectomy when I was 30 years old. Well, I can't be. We look for the reasons we can't. We can. If I can do this, you can do this. I had ulcerative colitis, chronic ulcerative colitis, gone. I was probably heading for a CPAP machine. I can now sleep on my back without snoring and through the night. I started at age 55. And there are people here who started, older than that. Stephanie Lynn said, wow, Casey, you'll live to be 100. I told Dr. Westman about my HDL number. He said, oh, wait a minute, you can stop right there. Anything else? The HDL? Yeah, that's the Methuselah number. Judy Tucker, I had everything and I'll be 70 years young this year. It worked for me 5 years now. And Judy has lost 130 pounds. She used to be were you a vegan or just vegetarian? And she's a farmer, a cattle farmer. She was 135 pounds heavier and had to work on a farm. I don't know how she did it. Myth, keto ice cream. There is, thank you, fact, there's no such thing as keto ice cream. It's no. Keto Nut clusters? Nope. Keto bread? No. There are those who will try to shill and because they have something to sell, trying to push the envelope. You do what works for you. One thing, I don't want fake versions of the stuff that got me fat in the first place because there's not just the carb component, there's the emotional component. There's the sensory relationship. I myself have to be careful with mashed cauliflower. I have to a dollop because if I don't do a dollop, I'll eat a potful. I have to be careful. Please be careful who you listen to. And save your money, for goodness sake. Eat good food. My friend had a little crafty nook. My friend has IBS, but she won't let herself heal. Didn't like meat, writes Judy. She raises cows. Diana from Australia. Mary Manchester, sardines. Mary is a patron. We have and Judy Porterfield is here. We have a patron-only live stream on Crowdcast. And Judy Porterfield, one of the patrons, was typing, congratulations. I mean, she wanted to say, give a cheer for somebody who had just said they, had a victory. So she typed, and out came, like she would have written, Mary, sardines. Mary, that's sardines. That's sardines. For some reason, Judy's autocorrect will turn the word awesome into sardines. So now we use it as a cheer around Patreon. Sardines. Mona Mayu. Good morning, Casey, from Mona in Louisiana. I have fallen off keto. I'm going back to eating right. Thank you for all your help and guidance. And you're in good company. And it's just, I needed a few at-bats. I knew low carb worked for me in 1977. I knew it again in the early 2000s. And then I did that thing that I tell people not to do. Well, I didn't tell them then not to do it. I told myself life got in the way. Life always gets in the way. Life is hard. And even for me, and I have a great life, but there's still those days. Judy Tucker, myth, it costs too much. Our grocery bill continues to go down and down and down. Why? Because we eat less. Why? Because we need less. Why? Because the food is very nutrient dense. Plus, we're older. But let's face it, most of us eat too much food. We eat too much. Shoot, go to a all-you-can-eat buffet and look at how much people eat. And I used to be that people. Good morning, and I don't see a name there. I'm sorry, there's no name. Good morning. 8-week weigh-in this morning, down 15.6 pounds. That's great, Judy Porterfield. Exactly, Judy Tucker. No junk food, so it's cheaper. We call it junk food, and yet we eat it, and we feed it to our families. Junk food. We feed our families junk. Let's not do that. Myth. Children really do need carbs. Fact, they really don't. They need fat and protein. Deanna from Australia. Before I found you, I bought coconut flour, fake maple syrup, used it once. Coconut flour is like eating sand. Yeah. Fake baked goods. No es bueno. Jenny. Hey, Jenny. Food bill goes down thanks to better decision making too on keto. Okay, I can't read any of that, honey. It's too small. My producer has come in. Mona from Louisiana? Oh, okay. Thank you. My producer, it's my husband, just came in and he shows me this little tiny screen. I don't know how anybody does anything on a phone or an iPad. So I think someone asked if I could touch on electrolytes. Myth. You've got to load up on electrolytes before you start or else you're going to fall out. Fact. Most people do okay. Most people do. If you find that you're feeling a little fatigued when you first start, just some bouillon if you want it. This happens to be high in sodium. And the sodium is an electrolyte that manages most of the other electrolytes. And so if your system is flushing out a bunch of water, particularly when you first start, with the water goes sodium, and with sodium can go magnesium and calcium and potassium, the other ums. Well, bouillon, get your sodium back up there. Dr. Stephen Finney recommends 5 to 7 grams of sodium a day. And it doesn't have to be fancy electrolytes. It can be Jen in Minnesota just put some salt under her tongue and takes a swig of water. If you like buying things, then buy things. But it's just spending money. Okay, Patrick Reagan, what's your take on eggs cheap versus Vital Farm eggs? Well, you can see this is a fraction of our eggs. We have backyard chickens, and they're not cheap. There's a real elitist thread that runs through the keto sphere. Do what you can afford. Do what you can afford. If the best you can afford, and this is from the mouth of Dr. Eric Westman, it's fine to eat off the dollar menu at McDonald's. Just peel off the buns and don't eat the fries. If the best you can do is the dollar menu, laying off the carbs, do that. If the best you can do is ground beef on sale at the local market and cheap butter, doesn't have to be from Happy Cows in Ireland. If you can get pasture-raised, free-range chickens, if you want some of mine, I'll sell you a dozen eggs for $5. But if the best you can do is get 5 dozen at a time from Costco or wherever your thing is, do it. Eggs, eggs, eggs. They're fantastic. Sherry Brink, Casey, I really like the new earlier time slot. Thanks. Okay, thank you. So do I actually, because I have other things. It helps me get other things done. Aries girl, Virgo moon, free range eggs. Always. You don't want anything eating soy or, sometimes that's just it's not economically feasible. It's not economically feasible. So if free range eggs cost $6 a dozen and non-free range eggs cost $1.85 a dozen, do what you can afford. That is my opinion. And I don't hyperventilate about the amount of soy that might be in some egg purchased at a store. My chickens eat their own eggshells and bugs, which is good. Okie dokie. Mini Pearl 105. I do cheap bacon, eggs, and hamburger. Made it to gold weight. Barely eat 2 meals per day. I love it. All right, I'm going to start to wrap it up. Try to keep these a little bit shorter. Please keep in mind, if you're in the Greensboro, North Carolina area on Monday, go to my blog, see the schedule, and RSVP if you're going to come. Because I need to give the proprietor a head count. It's a very intimate little group always, and it's free. Just go and we talk, have a glass of wine or bottled water. And Victoria, right? So happy the meeting with you and Dr. Westman was posted. Thank you. I think we're going to try to keep doing that. And it was fun to see everyone. All right, friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you next Saturday. God willing, the creek don't rise. Same place, same time. Be sweet. Just don't eat sweets.